Hello, good morning. Welcome to JoyNews Desk. Coming up this morning, unrest on the labor front intensify as more labor unions join the fray in demand for cost of living allowance. We'll hear from the Ghana Medical Association and the Ghana Registered Nurses Association as a group called citing hardship as one of the factors accounting for the demands.
And friends who are there have the level of capacity to be able to guide the conversation. If they can do that well, fine.
Also this morning, Ministry of Education gives assurance it will resolve all challenges regarding the supply of food to some senior high schools, as media reports indicate that many campuses have been without food for days. And in Nigeria, at least 600 inmates escaped in a jailbreak in Nigeria's capital city. They will hear from experts as they warn there could be implications for the country. We have business posts all coming up in this bulletin. My name is Aisha. Ibrahim. Let's settle for the details. The Ministry of Education says it has concluded talks with leadership of CHARS over challenges of supply of food to some senior high schools. In a tweet by the Public Relations Officer of the Ministry, Kweku Kwating, indicated that the full supplies will be delivered by Tuesday. And he shared that in his tweet. On your screens, we'll share the tweet by Kweku Kwating, who is the PRO of the Ministry of Education. But he's also been speaking on the AM show this morning, explaining that by Monday they should get supply. So this is the tweet on your screen. The Minister for Education has concluded a meeting with the leadership of CHARS on the issue of challenges in the supply of food to some senior high school. The issue has been resolved and all affected schools are expected to receive full supplies latest by Tuesday, July 12. We can now hear from Kweku Kwating, who is PRO of the Ministry of Education.
There has been reports of food shortages and potential food shortages in most of the schools. I mean, if you read the press that was issued by CHARS, Upper West chapter, clearly they cited a potential food shortage. And based on that, the Minister for Education has to act and intervene. And as I speak with you, arrangements have been far advanced for suppliers to supply foods to avoid a potential food shortage within the region and some schools that may have similar challenges. So yes, we do admit there could be challenges. Sometimes it may not necessarily be even delays in payment. A lot of time you may have some logistical constraints, like storage facilities even out the food. But like yes, we do admit that it has more to do with the delays of the payment and the suppliers not having the power or the capacity to be able to supply against the future. But this is being worked on. But as of now, those schools that gave a caution of potential shortages, we are addressing them latest by Tuesday. We should see foods in those schools. I mean, I've always insisted that our mandate is to embrace challenges and solve it. We are not there because there will not be any challenges. So I recall, I think it was just last Wednesday, where the Minister for Education met with food suppliers in Ghana. And then we admitted that, yes, when it comes to payment, there has been some delays. But the parties agreed that due to the urgency of the moment, they will continue to supply ahead of an arrangement that the minister had made to make sure that as soon as possible, their payments are being made so that they'll have the capacity and the market. The challenge we have is that there's been delays in payments. I don't
is it that there's no money? Is it that there's no money?
I don't work with the Ministry of Finance. I'm unable to speak to that effect. What the challenge now is that it is a public knowledge that there's been delay when it comes to the payment of suppliers. But the most important thing is that those, even though there is delay, it has not affected the supplies of food to the schools, except to say that schools have given caution on the potential shortage. So within the interim, I can say a lot of schools have food. Of course, I mean, there are some food items that generally schools may not have. So if you look at buffer stock, for instance, there are 17 food items. It is possible that a school may be lacking 1 or 2 food items out of the 17. And so such a school may give a caution. It is also possible that the quantity of supply that a school has within the following days or the following week, it is possible that it's going to finish if there is no supply. And so it is very natural for such a school to give a caution. It does not necessarily mean that there is that imminent shortage within the school. And so yes, there's been such delays. I am unable to speak to why those payments have not been made, because I don't speak for the Ministry of Finance. I speak for the Ministry of Education.
Listen to Deputy Ranking Member of Parliament of the Committee of Education, Dr. Clement Apak, who says this is unacceptable.
I don't believe that we should still owe buffer stock to the extent that buffer stock suppliers have refused to supply food to schools. And look, the reports we are getting is that this situation is not confined to secondary schools only in the Upper West region. It is across board. And I think the sooner government agrees to this clarion call for a review so that we can resituate the program and look at what has worked and what has not worked to adjust it, the better for us. Look, if you were to look at the PIAC, the Public Interest and Accountability Committee's monitoring report, 2018-2019, of the free senior high school policy, all of these issues that we are discussing have been captured. One, this decision to centralize the food supply chain, where contracts are given from Accra to persons who sometimes don't even know the location of the schools to supply them schools, has created a conduit for high-level corruption. So it is not just the lack of availability of funds for buffer stock suppliers, but even when the funds are there, they either undersupply the food items, as has been indicated, they supply unwholesome or expired food items, or sometimes they increase the weight of grains by deliberately adding impurities. We have seen the pictures, we have seen the videos. So the current system is just not fit for purpose of the bat. So it is not just about lack of funding, but it's the undersupply where the headmasters have no say, and it is also the addition of impurities to increase the weight where the headmasters have no say. So the best option going forward would be to review the program. As a member of the Public Accounts Committee, we have sat on reports of pre-tertiary institutions, secondary schools, and it is bad. We are even looking at a situation where we want to activate processes to get just the buffer stock food supply system as it pertains to the secondary schools audited. Because something is just not adding up in the whole narrative around the food supply system within the context of the way it is being run. So we wait to see how soon government is going to make resources available.
Let's talk about security now. At least 600 inmates escaped in a jailbreak in Nigeria's capital city, officials said Wednesday, blaming the attack on Islamic extremist rebels. About 300 have been recaptured. Authorities said there are, however, concerns that there may be a security implication for nearby countries, including Ghana. So what should the country agencies, security agencies, be doing at this moment to avoid the crisis? Joining me via Zoom is Dr. Adam Bona. He's a security analyst. I'm grateful for your time, Mr. Adam Bona. What does this mean? I mean, considering the fact that this is not the first time we've seen this within a short space, what does this mean for our security, especially as we know that many of them will find their way here?
Oh, yes. Good morning, Aisha and your colleagues and viewers. Well, what it means for the country is that we might experience some level of some increase in terms of crimes in this country. If you remember, between 2020, 2021, right up to the the December 2021, we started recording some levels of crime, very violent crimes, including Adedempo. We had bullion van robberies, we had very daylight robberies of call them mobile money joints, forex bureaus, and go back and check. Around the same time, there were a good number of jailbreaks in Nigeria. And some of us started talking about it, that there was the need for us to tighten security here. Fortunately for us, fast forward, it looks like some of them ended up actually in our territory with what the police, working with the police, with what I know, I think some of them might have ended up in our territory. And probably, fortunately for us, the new police administration managed to either capture some of them and then kill some of them too. And the rest of them have had to flee. And they are in pursuit of some of them. If you look at, the patterns of crime and the nature, the way they, orchestrate it, the Ghanaian, the pattern, what we know, and then what usually happens in Nigeria, there are a lot of differences or differentials. And so the moment you begin to record some levels of crime and a certain pattern, then you know that it looks like these people would have been here. And so we need to be on high alert. We need to watch out there, and probably our state authorities would have to double up their efforts, Aisha.
Doc, there's been warnings recently in Ghana, for instance, that we should actually be on guard because there's terrorism alert. Now, what does this mean? What should the security couples be focusing on at this critical moment?
I think what they need to be focusing on at this critical moment, I'm sure, is to be looking around the border areas, looking at areas where you have a lot of, our neighbors from Nigeria are staying. We have a lot of them staying around the central region in terms of, Kaswa and its environs. So we know where they stay. What I have also recommended in the past is to get our security or our state agencies responsible for making sure we are safe, to start working in collaboration with the leadership of the Nigerian community in this country. The state has not empowered them enough. And so you have every Tom, Dick, and Harry who is a Nigerian just walks into the country, and probably the state doesn't know the person is here. Their community leaders are not also aware they are here. So some of us have recommended that if you have the Igbo community, they have a whole chief, a big king or so who is in Ghana. You take the Yoruba, they have various, leaders. So the state should start working with them, empowering them, so that if you have such a jailbreak and you came in, because you are supposed to register your presence with your leaders, it will be easy for them the leaders to liaise also with their communities in Nigeria to know this guy who has come, these are his details. Because you see, there's been some names that have been published of jailbreakers in Nigeria. I've seen it, bundled around. Anyone who works, within the security setup will tell you that most criminals don't use their real names. You would have the face, but the real name would be different. Even if you go to Islam prison, go to the other prisons, regional prisons in this country, most prisoners who are in there are using aliases, and therefore it's difficult to say if the person is called maybe Kwesi Mensah, and you put Kwesi Mensah, chances are that when you arrest a Kwesi Mensah, that could be the guy who you are looking for as a jailbreaker. No. So we need to go behind the scene, use a very unconventional means of trying to identify these people in case they find their way here, because then it is easy for them to be here because our culture and that of Nigeria, we are closely related. So, they would want to be here. And some of them, like I said, looking at a certain pattern between 2020 and the end of 2021, where crime rates, shot up, went up. When you read the pattern, when you analyze it, you notice that no, it looks like some of them found their way here. And if you talk closely with the police, they will tell you that yes, we are looking for so and so. We have arrested some, we have gone down some, and even trying to sometimes collaborate with their counterparts in Nigeria. Sometimes there's some difficulty. So I think that we need to be doing better and also encouraging the citizens, the border communities. How do they identify someone who is using unapproved routes? As we speak, I'm not aware if the other West African, our close neighbors have opened their borders, but we have opened ours. If they haven't opened theirs and someone is using unapproved routes, how can they identify and say that this person could be one of the jihadists or one of the criminals who broke jail in Nigeria and probably he's coming into our territory? So a lot of education must go on. A lot of information must be out there within the country and around the peripherals, around the borders. This is something we should be doing, and especially working with the Nigerian community in Ghana, because they are a key factor. You can't discount them. But we must work with their leaders. If we cannot work with their leaders, then we are working in a vacuum. I haven't seen any. I know there has been some engagement, but I would say let's go beyond the unofficial engagement and see how, if a law would have to be passed to empower them, so that, because you know what, Nigeria is becoming a failed state. If Nigeria, touch wood, becomes worse than it's becoming, you can't stop our Nigerian brothers and sisters from coming. But what do we do to ensure that it is only the good ones who are coming? We would have to put in a lot of measures to make sure when they are come, they do what is right, and then we live peacefully as a people in this country.
Dr. Adam Bona, I'm grateful for your time. He's a security analyst, and he's been sharing some thoughts on how Ghana can check and ensure our security is intact, with news of that there's a jailbreak in Nigeria. Now, General Secretary of the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwifery Association, David Tinkranchum, says the remuneration due workers who contributed immensely to the fight against COVID-19 were not paid. He says the additional 50% allowances on their basic salaries, that's per month for a 4-month period starting from March 2020, and other assurance benefits the government promised have also not been paid. Speaking on the probe on the JoyNews channel on Sunday, he stressed that even the 50% basic salary that was supposed to be advanced to those who took care of the COVID-19 patients, most of them health workers, did not get it.
I'm happy you have raised this. We have myriad of challenges. It was never paid.
It was never paid?
Majority of the people didn't get it. I know several people died, nurses and doctors who died, and their relatives never got the insurance. Okay, and even those who fell sick, because you see, don't forget that the insurance was in stages. I mean, those who were severely ill, who ended up at ICU, and those who died. I'm telling you that majority of nurses and midwives never received it. Even the 50% basic salary that was supposed to be advanced to those who were taking care of our COVID patients, most of them didn't get it. Okay, so you see, we are challenged with a lot of things. And if things continue this way, okay, it will not augur well for that is why people are leaving. Let me fact, several nurses and midwives are leaving this country. And it's even the more reason why it is imperative for government to even look at the condition of service for nurses and midwives. Apart from this cola business that we are talking about, nurses and midwives are leaving. When the pandemic broke out, several people in the United Kingdom who were nurses decided to even resign from the NHS. And because of Brexit, some nurses also have left the UK to other jurisdictions.
The association has since added its voice to the labor unions demanding for cost of living allowance. Let me share extracts of a statement released by the association to that effect. And it reads, the leadership of the NAM Ghana seeks to add our voice. That's the National Association of Registered Midwives Ghana. we seek to add our voice to the ongoing concerns of various unions advocating for an immediate implementation of at least 20% of cost of living allowance for public sector health service workers, which include midwives, in order to make workers feel at ease in these difficult times. NAM Ghana, which has the best interest of all midwives at heart, especially their welfare, implores its members to remain calm and have faith in the leadership, who is making a lot of efforts to engage with the Trade Union Congress and the government to improve the standard of living. In order to prevent more industrial strikes, the leadership is urging government to pay the COLA to all employees in the public sector immediately. And it is signed by Harrison Ampabing, who is General Secretary, and Mary Fusu, National President of the National Association of Registered Midwives, Ghana. Meanwhile, the Ghana Medical Association, like other members of the organized labor, doctors say doctors and health workers have equally been hit by the current economic hardships, highlighting the plight of the doctors. Dr. Bayo, who is General Secretary of the association, says doctors are struggling, buying from the same market, buying the same fuel without fuel coupons from government, adding that doctors have parked their cars and are now getting on board trotro because they can no longer afford fuel.
Before I tell you what the cost of living to our members is, as a union leader, let me help my colleague a little just by explaining what the COLA is. And I should put it on record that the GMA have also made that demand for the COLA. We are part of a bigger group called the Forum, and the Forum has requested for COLA.
Are you also asking for 20% or more than 20?
All of us are singing the same song. And we had wished that government would have started with us much earlier to negotiate and discuss this. But if you look at the technical definition of a cost of living allowance, it's not a normal salary. It's a salary or an allowance given to a worker because of some special situations. It could either be that the worker lives in a particular area where the cost of living there is higher than normal across the country, or there is a situation within the country that has made the worker's salary worse off. So it's usually a temporary allowance. It's not expected to be a permanent feature on our pay slips, but it's to cushion us for the period that we find ourselves in. And the history in this country has demonstrated that successive past governments, where we've had very serious difficulties, have given this cost of living to labor unions or the labor workforce to help us survive. Okay. When we went for the IMF in the very last one before this, there was a cost of living allowance. And it was just a recognition that when your economy goes so bad, the person on salary, people even struggle to get transportation to work because your salary can no longer take you to work and back. There are people who have parked their vehicles, are using commercial vehicles, and even then it's very difficult. So this is just to cushion us for that period. So government should have met with us much earlier to negotiate a temporary allowance for a particular period that they think the economy will return back to normal, so that it cushions the ordinary worker. This is all that we are asking for. And yes, as I mentioned, the GMA, doctors are like anybody else in this country. We are also struggling.
Meanwhile, Labour consultant Austin Game is advising government to negotiate with striking teachers to look for alternatives that will satisfy all parties and not create problems for the country. He spoke on the AM show.
We've gotten to a junction that we have to be very careful as a people and as a nation. The past, anything good in the past, let's bring it up here now. Anything that is of no help, let's leave it there. In the past, when we had a similar situation, but not this gargantuan level of inflation and related matters, the employer, government then, quickly organized a national and comprehensive national dialogue at home, and almost all the unions were present, and other players were all present. I was there myself. We had a very open-ended type of conversation based on our labor law, because the law enjoins the employer to have an open dialogue with his own workers when you have matters of this nature. To the extent that it also opens that if you have a situation like this, go carry the economic situation and the welfare of the people under section, I believe, 113 subsection C. The importance of it should be openly discussed, and you arrive at a decision that will satisfy both of you. This is a lot more heavier a burden than that of 2015. Yet that was what they did. So it's getting a little too late, but I'm happy they're opening up for a dialogue maybe on Tuesday, just tomorrow. I wonder the format, but now that the Labour Commission has been maybe put in place, they may offer some help, because I know my friends who are there have the level of capacity to be able to guide the conversation. If they can do that well, fine. Otherwise, we are heading for some trouble.
In our election headquarters this week, we continue our build-up to the MPP National Delegates Conference that will elect national officers with a focus on the General Secretary race. One man is seeking to purge the party of all old executives, but will come up against a formidable field of contestants, some of them recycled from existing executives. Former Mayor of Tamale and Deputy Chief Executive of the Forestry Commission, Musa Superior, is our focus today. Samuel Mbura has more.
And if we want to deliver this mantra, breaking the age in 2024, I think that we should do a lot of soul searching and revert back and do a lot of work so that we can get our party administratively correct and politically huge.
Musa Superior is one of the few NPP stalwarts from the northern region to attempt to lead the party at the national level. He has built some influence as the immediate past mayor for Tamale. His campaign is dubbed the People's Campaign. His is an ambition to purge the party of the old leadership. He accuses them of lacking purpose and foresight.
One of our key objectives is to try and advocate for some brand new type of leadership. Because, we can see the lack of purpose and the lack of foresight in the current leadership. And that is why today the NPP is struggling.
The current Deputy CEO of the Forestry Commission has a 10 agenda focused on a so-called bottom-up approach. He also promises to empower party communicators.
We are telling the people that every communications
This is where you need to stay for all the NPP conference coming up this weekend. We have you covered. Now, some residents of Fumbisi in the Busa South District of the Upper East region have embarked on a demonstration to draw government's attention to the bad nature of the Chuchiliga-Sandema Fumbisi road. Although the road is currently under construction, the residents are unhappy about the slow pace of work and complain that certain portions of the road have become a death trap. Here's a report by correspondent Albert Sori.
Dozens of residents thronged the streets of Fumbisi, marching to protest the delay in the completion of construction of the road linking Chuchiliga and Sandema in the Busa North to Fumbisi in the Busa South District. The residents raised placards with various inscriptions to register their grievances about the road to the government. Some of them spoke to JoyNews.
The youth of the Bulk are interested to farm, but the road is causing us a lot of harm. Whether you are a religious leader, whether you are a farmer, whether you are a teacher, you are a nurse, all of us, life is in danger. So our plea is that we want Mr. President to fix our road now. We will buy a car in less than 1 year, the car will go condemned. All because of the road. We will buy tires, the tires within 1 week, 2 weeks, the tire will go condemned. So please, just help us and fix the road for us. Personally, you can see that I am deformed. I had an accident there.
jeep is kept just within the road. So I was coming. Finally, I have to bump into the cheapest and I had an accident. They have to carry me to hospital. In fact, last year, as at this time, the town was submerged with water everywhere. People lost their properties and homes. You created drains, and why are you not creating roadways for the water to move? Then the water comes and it pushes back to the houses.
The demonstrators were led by the presiding member of the Busa South District Assembly, John Apabe, to submit a petition to the district chief executive for onward submission to the president.
We, the citizens of Bulu, do humbly petition your high office as follows: that the Chichuluga Sandema Wiaga Bedema Fumbisi Wiesi Road is still in a bad state since awarding it to my 10th construction company in 2016 and was supposed to have been completed in 2019. The state of the road affects food production in the two districts, as we have been noted to be the basket of food for Ghana, as we are champion as rice producers in Ghana here. Essential service providers such as medical doctors, nurses, teachers and other professionals constantly refuse postings to the municipal and district assemblies of Busa North and South respectively due to the bad nature of the road. The delay in fixing the road has caused low patronage in the Fumbisi and Sandema markets due to the lack of interest of drivers to ply their commercial vehicles on this road. Do we not deserve good roads as Busas?
We do. Better roads.
Are Busas not Ghanaians?
We are Ghanaians. We vote.
Are we not part of citizens you swore an oath to protect their lives and properties?
We are.
Receiving the petition, Busa South District Chief Executive Daniel Garba explained the cause of the delay in the construction of the road.
The road was commissioned, or sod was cut in the year 2016 by His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. Last week Monday we had a meeting at Sandema in which the contractor was present, and he was very clear. He said the sod that John Mahama cut was for the construction of the road from Nabrongo, Chuchuluga, Nahon. And that this stretch that we are talking of was given to him in the year 2020. The work is being done, and I can guarantee that this work will be done to satisfy all of us.
He promised to forward the petition from the aggrieved Fumbisi residents to President Nana Akufo-Addo. Meanwhile, JoyNews checks on the Chuchuluga Sandema Fumbisi road showed that some portions had been tarred while others had been recently bulldozed to make them more trouble. Construction equipment belonging to the construction firm My 10, earlier mentioned by the district chief executive, were also seen working on some portions of the road. There were also some other portions of the road, especially between Wiaga and Fumbisi, which were still in bad shape. The residents want government to do whatever is necessary to speed up the construction of the road. For JoyNews, Albert Sorry, Fumbisi.
Back here in Accra, my name is Aisha Ibrahim from the studio. Let's go to Sampa, where chiefs and people of that area in the Jama North district of the Bono region have appealed to stakeholders, especially the Santini Otumfose to the second, to ensure truth prevails in the Sampa Chieftaincy dispute. The Abakumahene of Sampa, Nana Kwame Lawfare II, says the litigation against the chief of the area, Nanaya Samodia II, by the Akwemu family is raising tension and affecting the peace and development of the area. He appealed after a street protest in Sampa. Precious Semevo has more.
Sampa, a leading cashew growing area in the Jama North district of the Bono region, remains underdeveloped, and it has been mainly attributed to the chieftaincy litigations with no united front to pursue a common development interest. The Abakumahene of Sampa, Nana Kwame Lawfare II, explained at a press briefing after a street protest in Sampa that in their history, chiefs are selected from Nana Yao Samuel Dua and Nana Kofi Sono descendant. He alleged that the Akwamu family had been laying claim to the stool for over 2 decades after losing at the Sunyani High Court. The Abakumahini insists Nana Yao Samuel Dua II is the legitimate chief of Sampa, hence appeals to the Asantehene Otumfuo Osei Tutu II to ensure the truth stands. Ibrahim Seymour speaks for the royal family.
The whole chieftaincy issue started in 2000 when my grandmother passed on. The Akwamu family of Sampa went to court that they are also partakers of the Sampa stool. At a point in time, the court dismissed the case, and so those in charge had the opportunity to install a chief as our customs and tradition demands. So he was installed in 2015. But these people who are litigating against the chief went and revived the issue. When the case went to Asantehene, the Asantehene forwarded the case to a 4-member committee. What went on at the committee level was not what they told Asantehene. So we are pleading with Asantehene to do the right thing so that we can have peace in Sampa.
He expressed worry about how the chieftaincy issues have retarded the peace and development of the area.
Since it started, in fact, it has affected our development so much in so many directions. Our rules are not good. The kind of schools we want, we can't get. We can't call government appointees to account for what they have taken from our district. So I think that the chief we have who can call them to order, and here's the case, he is being litigated against. So he is not able to perform his functions as he's supposed to. And I hope that Nana Yao Samuel, even though he's young and a student and has no money, he is the rightful chief. And so he should be given the opportunity to rule as a chief in peace. The people of Sampa are yearning for peace and development.
Some residents also expressed the impact of the situation on their lives.
Ghana, Sampa is number 1 cashew producer.
Sampa is the number 1 producer of cashew in Ghana with lots of revenue, but we hardly benefit from it. It is our chief who should lead us to demand our share of development, hence our appeal. The chieftaincy tension in the area continues to scare the women and children with an impact on our businesses and livelihood. We appeal to Asantehene to intervene for the chief to reign in peace. Precious Semevo, Joy News, Sampa.
We'll take a break on Joy News Desk. We'll return with business.
Hi, welcome to Business. My name is Darryl Kwao. Telecom giant MTN is calling for stakeholder support to tackle rampant equipment theft across the company's establishment. Now, the company says 616 of its equipment have been stolen from cell sites across the country since 2020, with majority of the cases recorded in the Ashanti region. Officials say the persistent theft is not only affecting the company's finances, but is impacting heavily on service delivery to notable Ghanaian businesses and clients who depend on the network across the country. Ohimi Teria has more in the following report.
The Telecom's chamber has identified equipment theft as one of the major threats facing telecommunication business in the country. The chamber recently promised to reward whistleblowers who will provide information leading to the arrest of culprits. MTN Ghana is the most affected as the firm continues to reel under the negative impact of equipment theft.
Yes, when it comes to equipment theft, now it's one of our headache.
Among equipment stolen are balls in baseband units meant for 870 cell sites in the Ashanti region. Head of Technical, Northern Sector Charles Osei Akutu says telecommunication equipment theft is not only a national security threat, but also threatens MTN's operations.
When they remove these cars and then the system goes down, it will not affect only the people within that area, but others also whose cell site is linking to the site that the incident has taken place. It costs us financially. They are very, very expensive cars. We lose revenue. the customer experience that we are protecting also become negatively affected. Even the regulator can come in and charge us for providing a poor service to our cherished users.
With the support of the police, some unscrupulous persons have been arrested. 3 of such cases are pending in the law courts across the country. MTN suspects the stolen items are offered for sale outside the country and wants the support of national security to deal with the menace at the country's borders.
The fact that also all the telcos are impacted tells us that we are not stealing to sell to other operators within Ghana. That is where we need even the national security also on our borders. And when these things are found, critical questions are asked.
MTN has since launched community engagements to solicit for public support in the fight against equipment theft. Mr. Sekutu explains why this is crucial.
Now we need their support because the people doing it are among us. And also the posts are within communities. So if you see that somebody performing any activity within that time, any way that you can alert us to be able to arrest them is very, very important. As part of the measures, we are doing community engagement to also alert them so that when somebody comes there, at least you keep an eye.
MTN Ghana has since beefed security and increased surveillance at the various cell sites to protect its interests. From Kumasi, Ohimiteria reporting.
Now, technical advisor at the Ghana Tourism Development Project, Professor Gabriel Aisha, has urged businesses in this tourism sector to take advantage of the available grants and apply. He says the grants are to help sustain the operations of businesses in the sector. Professor Aisha was speaking at a training workshop for tourism industry players in Tamale. Here's more.
The training brought together hoteliers, restaurant owners, among other stakeholders in the tourism industry. It was to educate them on the opportunities available to them and how they can apply. Mr. Aisha said the training was to get all the stakeholders involved in the process.
As part of trying to sustain the tourism enterprises in the country, we have the grant component that is seeking to look at the non-publicly side in the country and also looking at the SMEs, especially in the landscape of tourism, hospitality, art and culture. And that is what it is about. This is the phase 3 that we are doing. For the phase 1, we had it in 2020, and the 2021 we had one as well. And of course, we are continuing in 2022. The great thing with this phase 3 is that we are making sure that the tourism value chain, a lot of the stakeholders are being involved in this. And that is why the COVID-19 relief grant is really part of this, because we are all aware of the fact that tourism, hospitality, art and culture was really hit hard during the pandemic.
He said the ministry has taken note of previous lapses in the disbursement and have addressed those concerns.
It will be quite an unfortunate situation when you've been told that your application is approved and then the disbursement will not follow. On record, from the Honorable Minister, Dr. Awao, it is our joy to make sure that we disburse the money. The more we disburse, the more successful we are.
And that's business for now. The news continues after the break.
Welcome back to JoyNews Desk. To the rest of our stories, persons living with disability in the Guan district of the Oti region are asking government to expedite action on the release of their component of the District Assembly Common Fund to cushion them in the face of current economic hardship. The newly created district is yet to receive its 3% payment of the Common Fund, even though the district has received payment for 3 quarters from 2021. They want the money released since their vulnerability is getting worse. Peter Seno has more.
Some of them normally call me, "Oh, Eunice, sister Eunice, how are you? Take this 20 cedis and buy the food. Take this 10 cedis and buy fish. And that is how I'm managing now right now. But true that if the people didn't call me, say me anything, at times I can stay the whole day without taking food, without taking anything.
In actual fact, the hardship of the economy now has made me suffer more than I do, because even the wood business that I'm talking about, sometimes we saw wood and send to the market. We have to be roaming with the wood sometimes before we get market. So the market asks at how they will buy it, they will not even buy it like that.
Persons living with various forms of disability, some of whom have children with disabilities, say times are tough for them as the recent high cost of living has had a great impact on them. For some, they spend the little they get as income on transport and medication. Others would have to depend on the generosity of others to survive. Juliana is a mother of a set of twins, with one of them living with a disability. At age 6, her daughter cannot walk, neither can she talk, apart from making inaudible sounds which only the mother understands. By this, she cannot leave her under the care of anyone. Juliana cooks and sells food in her community, but her daughter's condition is restricting her business now.
Zozo mettere le nu pocho metto le nade ke o de me ta de makwe alo de makpe alo de amrai ya kunye klemi le fukpe ka va se de fifia vo etwache me ga va me dana nu no jajra makpe avajra no afi mi adunu.
Even if she makes any income, it is spent on food and toiletries as she changes her daughter's diapers not less than thrice a day. Prosper fathers a 5-year-old boy with a disability, while he also lives with a disability. He says life has been difficult for him after the birth of his son 5 years ago. Expenditure on medication and toiletries are high on the expenditure list.
When the illness happened on him in the first year that they born him, it made me to spend a lot of money on him. So after some 2 years, I find it very difficult to get money since I'm a farmer. And the farming system too is no more improving for us due to the weather changes. So it forced me to enter into this wood business. So sometimes I go search for wood in the bush to buy, and then take chainsaw operators. Sometimes we get something from there small. Since I have a lot of things on my mind to do to, help build Ghana, I've started a school from the KG level to class 2 now. Sometimes I get some small coins over there to cater for the family.
Prosper's wife, who cooks and sells, says her business has grounded after the birth of a son. Eunice also lives with a disability. She says life in the face of the rising cost of living is a challenge for her, as a crèche she had set up collapsed due to her frequent visit to the hospital and non-payment of fees by parents.
Right now, I'm not teaching again because of my work, because I can't stand. So I normally in the house, I just trying to manage and feed my children, their accommodation, their food and everything. I have a lot of problem. I found a school on my own.
I found a crèche school on my own. So I'm a proprietor. So when I fell sick, those teachers, those who are teaching their children, parents refuse to pay the fees.
And that's how we wrap up News Desk this morning. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. Log on to myjoyonline.com. You get more of the news and updates of all the developing stories. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. See you again at 12.